Good day, everyone, and welcome to another Corr-Serve coffee chat. Today, we're going to be talking ScienceLogic. ScienceLogic is a market leader in the AIOps space. Corr-Serve recently got the exclusive distributorship for ScienceLogic in the region, and we've got some great credentials from a ScienceLogic perspective. They've got huge implementations under their belt with the likes of Cisco, and we've also got a really good local reference in the First RAN Group in their shared services division that was recently rolled out, and that rollout will continue. They're already seeing a lot of value. So I'll be joined today by Austin from ScienceLogic. Austin looks after us and our territory based out of the UK. So welcome, Austin.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an absolute pleasure and really enjoy working with the great team that you have at Corr-Serve.
What are you seeing triggering the customer interest in ScienceLogic at the moment, both in your territory, so internationally, and then also regionally from what you've seen in South Africa?
Sure. So the biggest trigger point we've seen in all customers is cost reduction. Obviously, we're in a pretty uncertain time economically at the moment. And so most companies are looking at anything they can do to take cost out. And IT, there's two fairly simple places to do that. Number one is tool consolidation, where if you look at somebody like Southwest Airlines, had 12 different monitoring tools, bringing that down to one has made a significant saving for them, exactly the same as we did at Capgemini as well. But the other piece is Gartner's finally realized that incident management is the place that costs IT the most wasted money, because we have people running around left and right and center doing the same thing every day. Go and grab me the top 10 biggest files on a Windows server, ping this device, run an OSPF query, and the amount of time people are spending in war rooms. So being able to reduce that FTE requirement by around 40% is of significant interest to the customers that we're talking to.
Okay, just talking about those customers, could you give us a bit of insight into a couple of interesting deployments that you've experienced recently?
Sure, yeah. So you mentioned Cisco earlier when you opened up. So Cisco is one of our largest customers. They use ScienceLogic in 68 data centers globally around the world, both for their internal IT and the Cisco managed service. And that Cisco managed service underpins 250 of the FTSE 500. So it's a pretty high pressure service. And when they came to us 3 years ago, they really wanted to consolidate tools. And we said, who cares? What are you really trying to achieve? And they were trying to move their business digitally, as almost everybody is these days, and thought that they would be transacting significant sums of money at the end of each quarter through there. And their average MTTR, time to resolve issues, was over 2 hours. And that was going to cost them millions and millions in lost revenue if they had an issue at the end of each quarter. So we worked with them to drive that MTTR down to 6 minutes on average globally across P1 to P4. And in the last year, what they've done is taken the product and being able to utilize the self-healing capabilities throughout automation that has enabled them to fix 165,000 incidents with no human intervention within 2 minutes of the incident happening. So they've saved significant level 1 and level 2 resource, over 40%, as well as millions in licensing costs from consolidating a lot of tools. So that's one big one. The other one you mentioned is FNB locally. So FNB were using ServiceNow's discovery capability, as well as a fair collection of monitoring tools from the likes of SolarWinds and CA in their shared infrastructure services. And they thought they had 40,000 CIs that they needed to manage, and we found 144,000 when we went and did our discovery. So that's kind of a good thing, because now you know that you've got all this stuff that you need to manage properly, but also it could present a lot of extra incidents when you're monitoring all of these things. Thankfully, what they found was that because ScienceLogic is able to tell you where the problem is, and instead of giving you 200 alerts when a vCenter and a switch goes down, because all of those VMs have gone offline, we're just giving you the one alert that's causing of the CI that's causing the problem. We were able to reduce their number of incidents by a third, even though we were monitoring over 3 times as many devices.
Mm. Yeah, some of those numbers are staggering, especially at Cisco, but then also at FNB. I was actually watching the FNB presentation at your symposium last week, and just looking at the numbers. I mean, they were saying that they estimated that about 16,000 devices. Meanwhile, the number was 144,000. So that was yeah.
But it's not uncommon.
Numbers. Yeah, no, absolutely. So recently, you guys announced the acquisition of Zebrium. What do you see the impact is on that acquisition, and how best would you see approaching prospective opportunities with Zebrium?
Yeah, so really excited about this acquisition. This really takes ScienceLogic capabilities to the next level. So what ScienceLogic is really good at is, let's say you've got a business service, let's call it your website, and that has a load of different components in it. ScienceLogic is really good at saying you've got a problem with your website service, and out of the 200 components that make up that service, this is the one that is causing the problem. So you don't need a war room. You can just get the right team working on it straight away. What Zebrium then does is says, okay, that team are typically then going to go and look through some logs in that application to find out where the issue is. They might use something like Elastic to search through those, or Splunk or whatever. What Zebrium does is it says, you don't need to look through those things. We've already looked through them. We can tell you that in that particular service there is an issue. 2 minutes before that issue started, somebody changed the permissions on the database server. And so that's the thing that has caused this issue. So rather than that, all that time searching through logs, Zebrium's AI pulls out the logs that you need to take action on to fix the issue. So super excited about being able to get into real root cause analysis.
Mm. It almost sounds like the Holy Grail, doesn't it?
It certainly is.
Very, very exciting. Moving on to the elevator pitch. So you got a quick lift ride with a prospective customer. What is your killer elevator pitch?
So I try and take IT out of my elevator pitch a little bit. And whenever I have to describe this, I always say, imagine that your mom was off to pick up some shopping and going to the baker's for a treat for herself with a favorite cake, and she goes to the cash machine because the bakers only take cash, and she can't get any money out because there's a fault with the cash machine. She goes off to do her shopping and pay on the card in the supermarket, no problem. But typically it takes several hours for the cash machine to get back and working, because there's a whole ATM network there, and in the bank there's 100 people running around like crazy going, why don't our cash machines work? what is going on here, and it takes them several hours. In fact, in FNB's example, their average time to fix problems was 39 hours for P1 and P2 incidents, i.e. something like your cash machine's not working, before they put ScienceLogic in. With ScienceLogic, all that happens is your mother goes to do her shopping, she comes back, the cash machine is now working because we've found the problem with the incident. We've enabled you to fix that incident within 5 minutes of it happening. So your mum can get her cash out of the machine, have her favorite cake, and have a wonderful day. That's the ScienceLogic difference.
A very interesting pitch, that. Great. And then I think to wrap it up, is there anything else that you think is relevant in telling our partners in terms of how they can pitch and sell ScienceLogic?
I think the most important thing is understanding the problems that customers have. All customers have got monitoring tools out there, and they've got discovery tools, and they've got event management tools, and all this sort of thing. But whenever they bought them in the past, they bought them on a technical wish list, rather than how are you going to improve your business. So when we talked about the Cisco example earlier, it was very much, okay, we're trying to transform digitally. Could potentially miss our year if we don't bring down our MTTR. If you understand that, then you can start to apply ScienceLogic and Zebrium and RestorePoint to those problems to drive some real outcomes. And that's where ScienceLogic and our customers really, really win, is when they're focused on those outcomes. So go ask the right questions to find out really what the problem is, rather than do they just want a nicer monitoring solution. Go have a read on our website. Under the customer successes, there's loads and loads of great examples there that can help you with those conversations with customers. And of course, Mark is here to help you with them, as am I. So yeah, if we can help you, let us know.
Great, thanks for that, Austin. Yeah, you guys also offer a very good service as part of the pre-sales, or during the sales process, where you go and have workshops with the prospective customer and really drive out those business, those reasons for wanting to improve, etc.
Yeah, you're right. And that was fundamental in FNB's journey as well. Is that workshopping of just really understanding what is going wrong on a day-to-day basis that ScienceLogic can help you fix, so that you can get on with your day job, and hopefully moving the business forward rather than doing the same things all day, every day. Great point.
Great. Well, thanks very much for your time, Austin. Really appreciate it. And with that, I will say goodbye. So have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.